I got a call from the GM on Saturday night. He said, president called the governor called the president of the track. We're shut down. We'll be heading home tomorrow. And I said, who's paying for this? In 2022, we will run for nearly 150 days on racetracks. We will stop over 45 times to accommodate those days on the racetrack. Additionally, we will run in 10 new markets for our open road program with its own fleet of supercars for another couple hundred days. Operating a fleet of over 50 supercars next year with both programs running and encroaching upon 80 or 90,000 people in the driver's seat or the passenger seat of a supercar. That sounds big. It feels big. But at the heart of it, Extreme Experience is actually a small company. There are less than 50 of us full-time running the operation. And it takes a network of many more instructors and people throughout the country. But at the core heart of our business, there are less than 50 people who make this happen every day. And what makes this most memorable, monumental, and important to me is what we endured in 2020. How we navigated, treaded water through, survived, and came out stronger of the pandemic, of COVID. It's probably important to note, if you haven't picked up on it yet, that we're an event business. And in March of 2020, the word event was about as bad as whatever word you have to bleep out here. We, in less than 48 hours, had to go through our entire website, our entire vernacular, all of our marketing materials, and scrub the word event from everything that we did, because the word event suddenly meant don't do business with this company. And as a small business where every dollar and every cent makes a difference, especially when those dollars and cents have to pay for supercars, we had to figure out a way not to go underwater and keep treading. It was March 11th, the day before my wife's birthday. I had taken her out to a Blackhawks game and out to dinner, and we're sitting there at the Blackhawks game when my phone buzzes, and everyone's phone buzzes. Tom Hanks has COVID. Trump is shutting down the borders. And I'll never forget looking around and going, wow, there's a lot of people in here. I wonder what's going to change. By the end of that game, the NHL had decided they were shutting the season down the next day. The NBA decided they were shutting the season down the next day. By that weekend, it had made its way all the way, the shutdowns and the government mandates had made their way all the way down to racetracks. We were simultaneously racing simultaneous to my wife's birthday celebration, we were racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I got a call from one of my instructors and my GM, and they said, the governor just called the president of the racetrack, and I don't think we're gonna be able to run tomorrow. And I said, what do you mean? No governor has ever told me I can't run. What are you talking about? He called me back and he said, never mind, governor said he hasn't had orders from the president yet, so we can run on Saturday. I said, wow, those are some big words you just used there. Okay, then run. Just assuming this is gonna go away. I got a call from the GM on Saturday night. He said, president called the governor called the president of the track. We're shut down, we'll be heading home tomorrow. And I said, who's paying for this? You can't shut down a small business. I paid for the track, I paid for the travel, I paid for the cars. I have customers that now either want their money back or they want to drive. What does this all mean? But we didn't have a choice. So we came back to Chicago. That third week in March, was it? Or the third Monday in March, we sat around in the office. Our revenue had dropped to $0 a day. I had a $1 million a month burn rate. And not to mention the cars we were purchasing. And I sat everyone down and I said, I don't know what happens next, but we have a mission now. You have a mission, other than to keep our jobs. The mission is to make sure that every single ticket that we have sold, we don't refund. If we can keep the tickets that we've sold, we will be able to still have our business, we will hibernate our business, and we will wait to see what happens next. Now, the reason why I felt this would work was because we had created a process. And if you're anyone who's building a business, this is the most important piece of advice that I didn't know I had done until it was challenged. And then I realized, thank goodness I had done it. We had built a process that wasn't designed to be the most efficient process. It wasn't automated. It wasn't designed to pump out the most of something. I mean, it is efficient, of course. Anything has to be. But it wasn't a machine. It was a living, breathing organism full of people that were trained to make decisions in real time. Because on a racetrack, you don't know what's going to happen. It could rain, a car could break down, anything could happen. And so our people had to be prepared to make a decision in real time, be accountable for that decision, and do it before running it up the flagpole for approval. So they were trained to be flexible, and they were trained to adapt. And so when I came to them and said, we need to hold these tickets from a bunch of people who are going to want them back, we need to cancel all of our track reservations and renegotiate that they will be viable once the world reopens, but until then, TBD, we have to somehow freeze payments on a lot of things because we're not working, so we shouldn't pay rent, and we're not racing, so we shouldn't pay our insurance, all these things, these costs that could sink us, many of which did sink restaurants and gyms and other things. We had our meeting, we all had our tasks, and then I sent everybody back out into the world, and I said, go, each one of you accomplish the one that we agreed you have to accomplish. And the team pulled it off. They were able to do it. So we sat dark for 3 months. And while we sat dark, we renegotiated those contracts. Our marketing team pivoted to do a few things. One, create really great content that re-engaged with our customers to give them some type of value for the ticket they had purchased that we were holding on to. We started exploring the new business models like the open road that we would get up and running. And we spent time really assessing what it would look like when we were able to get back out on the road, leveraging what we had just learned about ourselves and our strengths, which was our flexibility, as opposed to taking a very efficient machine and turning it on or turning it off. We finally were able to realize, and I gave a big town hall presentation to our employees. I said, team, this seems not normal. This seems insane. This is ludicrous. But let me ask you a question. When I was 26 years old and I asked you guys to follow me to a racetrack that you'd never been to before, driving rented cars at the time that you'd never owned or understood before, you said, sure. When we took that operation and we decided to put it on a semi-truck and drive it all over the nation and go to a lot of racetracks that you'd never been to before, cities you never had traveled to before, entertaining customers in a way you hadn't done before, you said yes. Was any of that normal? Does any of that make sense? Did any of your parents come to you and say, what are you doing? Mine did. So right now, us not being able to run, and when we are able to run, us not knowing what we're going to be allowed to do and not do, is that any less normal than what you experienced the last 8.5 years of working here at Extreme Experience? No. You know that. I know that. You've built your success on embracing not normal and building yourself as a person and our organization as a procedure, process, framework to address and succeed in non-normal, unpredictable, complex situations. I've never once asked you to make a Lamborghini run more efficient. I've asked you to be a more efficient decision maker that'll make our races safer and more fun and able to scale at the pace that we've done it with less than 50 people to more than 50 cities. That's pretty crazy when you kind of look at the numbers. And they said, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And so we just embraced the fact that we had never known normal. We weren't going to know normal coming out of it. And we were the right people for the job because we had taken on this crazy concept of letting people race cars that didn't deserve to be racing them, hosted by people who probably shouldn't have been hosting at the time. And we became the right people for the job. Our customers became the right customers for the experience. And if anyone was going to get out of COVID and succeed from it, it was going to be us. We were going to play offense before they were going to play offense. And by they, I just meant the world, anyone. You weren't going to tell me when it was my turn to play offense. We were going to tell you, hey, we got the ball. We're on offense. It wasn't long after that we said, let's do it. We reopened our office the day we were allowed to. We were at a racetrack May 28th. The world was supposed to open up June 1st in at least Illinois and the Midwest where we were racing at the time. And we were there. Our truck was filled and our customers were ready. And we said, look, this is one of two things is going to happen. Our customers are going to show up and be like, thank you. We needed to get out of the house. Or our customers are going to be like, you're crazy, we're not showing up. But we believed that we had built a system and we had built a conversation with our customers through some of these marketing pivots and just how we hosted our program that they would show up and they would love it. And we were right.
5 years ago, the first sponsor we ever had here on the VINwiki channel was Caffeine and Octane. Now, they're our local Atlanta Cars and Coffee meetup that I've been going to for 15 or so years now, but it is now the largest monthly recurring automotive gathering on Earth. Now, you'll also recognize Caffeine and Octane from their television show, and the next season of that airs very soon on Motor Trend. In their quest for further automotive world domination, they just bought the legendary Lanier Motor Speedway, which is across the street from Road Atlanta. So throughout the next year, we're going to have a lot of amazing events there that you'll be invited to join. But the coolest project they've deployed lately is called highoctane.tv, and it's a free streaming network that you can access from any smart TV, Roku, Fire Stick, smartphone, or a computer, and it'll give you access to a ton of programming, including all 5 seasons of their show, some content from creators we love like David Patterson, That Dude in Blue, and a ton more. Soon there will be some content from VINwiki on there as well. So visit the link in the description below to learn more about the amazing world of Caffeine and Octane.